very welcome to the Dead Hedgehogs podcast with the one and only Mr. Fred Cooke.
So, how are you lads?
How are you?
Hey!
Okay, a round of applause for Fred there.
Thanks so much.
How are you doing, Fred?
Fred Cooke is in the building.
Steve was the only one who didn't clap.
I did clap. I clapped.
He's
In
an
my
awful
heart, I
bastard.
clapped.
He's an awful bastard.
I was
Look
clapping
at
in my
the
head.
scarf. What? Where does he
I've
think
gone
he
on,
is?
I've gone on fashionable. I've gone on really fashionable these days.
He's come back from Sweden and he's like,
Cock of the North.
Here! Come here to me!
I met a girl from Westmead.
I met a girl from Westmead.
You really turning me on.
You really turned me on.
I think it's that low now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on clear. I never thought I could feel so free.
Derry, Derry, I've got a crush on you. Derry, Derry, I'm so in love with you.
If I'd been forgotten, I Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Rather slow.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, Antrim is a place on earth. Carry, carry, carry on. Carry, carry, carry on. Off the lead, off the lead, off the lead, off the lead. Leash, leash me, oh yeah, like I leash you.
She's got electric boots, a mohair suit. You know I read it in a magazine. Whoa.
Kenny and the Cats, ground control to Monaghan. Whoa, for the Longford time. Whoa, for the Longford. She's from Limerick, but it's nothing to do with me.
How are you getting on, Fred?
Oh, mighty. Yeah, still down here in Kerry.
You stood
So, you're the first people I've spoken to in 9 months. So, I apologise if my English is very bad. I haven't spoken in a long time.
Yeah. So, the only other people that you spoke to was us again in Castlebar when you done your gig there.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. That was the gig that, because of COVID restrictions, you're only allowed 30 people at the gig. And I still didn't sell out.
You definitely, there was definitely more than 30 there. I mean,
Oh, no, I did. I sold out. And a few sly ones on the side.
yeah,
Like, you're only allowed to sell tickets and then you're allowed in a few more. Like, so, yeah, it was good.
80 more.
Awful crack, wasn't it? I wish I could stay on there. The Irish bar beforehand.
Oh, that was the
Yeah,
best
house.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Irish house, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good crack.
Yeah,
Owen was there as well. Owen called up for a few pints.
yeah. All panicked. And
Panicked, yeah.
I remember last year, the first time I went to the Irish house, 2 years ago, and I was doing Castle Bar, and I put it in my sat nav, Irish bar, and my sat nav. You know the way it's got some information on the venue that you're going to, your sat nav, and the sat nav said to me, "This bar will be closed by the time you arrive." And I was like, "You haven't a fucking clue, sat nav, have you?" With your fucking patronizing English accent. This bar will be closed. No, there's a middle ground here.
Fred, what I meant to say was, after Fred Cooke is here, this place is going to be closed down.
How have you been finding the last couple of weeks over the second lockdown, Fred?
Fine. Yeah, absolutely. I've I have a 12-week-old now, so it's a constant distraction. And I'm back working on the Tommy Tiernan show. Like, so it's lovely to be on the road. You know, I love it. And maybe there is, but I've no guilt when it's work. You know what I mean? I feel like when I'm allowed to be away, like, and but you know, I'm fine with it. You know, it was the first lockdown. No, was hard. You know what I mean? When that George Lloyd guy was killed and all that, and there was a darkness. You know, there was no. I find a lot of release in social media through laughter and crack, and that was out the window that week. There was nothing coming in. You know what I mean? Like, there was just this period. So, but you know, I think now coming to the end of it now that I'll probably I think most of us will look back on this year like our youth, that we should have embraced it more while we had it, that time off. And so, but at the same time, you know what I mean, a happy days, like it's great to see a strong light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
Thanks for asking.
hopefully.
Well, like with the vaccine coming out, even though
Would
it's
you take the
good-
vaccine, Fred?
Oh, I would. Yeah, I'd inject it into each eye.
I'd
Like that. I'd have the Moderna one here, and the Pfizer one here, and the Oxford one in me Mickey. I go right at 1, 2, 3, all in at once. and I'm flat 7 up in me teeth. Like that, just as to be safe.
Then you'll start starring in some MCU universe kind of superhero.
Exactly. Yeah.
COVID vaccine man.
Vaccine man.
Pfizer lad.
All the way.
Fred, what do you think of the whole conspiracy theories behind the COVID that what's your man Bill Gates is trying to put a chip in us and trying to control us?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I have a few friends like that as well, and that think that. And no, like I lost my cousin to it. Do you know what I mean? Which is fine. It's like it was sad. It was early March. He contracted it before it was kind of out there publicly. Do you know what I mean? Before we were in lockdown, he was a lecturer in DCU. So my third cousin's uncle as well. He passed away of it, and there's this Bruce Sweden, who's Michael Jackson's sound engineer, who did he did the production for Thriller, Bad, and Off the Wall, and he was the first guy to create this sonic boom to make that 80s sound that didn't exist in the 70s. It was almost like synthesized, electrical, powerful sound that you would have got in early Michael Jackson music. Well, he was the guy behind all that. Well, he passed away last week from me. He was in California. So when I hear about all these people passing away, it's like, how can it be a conspiracy theory? Like, you know what I mean? That's just kind of what I feel like. But I wouldn't be surprised if I told someone all these people have passed away, and the same lad would look at me and goes, but have they? Have they passed away? That's the question. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't fucking win. And someone told me that the greatest, the irony about it is that the biggest conspiracy at the moment on the planet that's growing is, let me phrase this right, that the flat earthers is the largest growing conspiracy on the planet today. Do you know what I mean? When you think about it, like they'll tell you that ourselves. Like there's no one bigger. Like, so it's I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I know.
Yeah, well, we know a couple of flat earthers or people like that. But I tell you what, Fred, if you keep looking for stuff, you're gonna find something. It's a bit like
exactly, yeah.
You know, when you go out with a new girlfriend or whatever, and she goes through your phone, and she's looking for something that she can hang you with, she'll definitely find something. I mean, it's like hard enough.
What are you trying to say, Stephen? What are you trying to say?
He says he's got some dirty shit on that phone.
They're all the same. They're all the fucking same. But no, what I mean is, like, if you look hard enough for something, you'll find it. If you want to find something, you'll find it. And a lot of people, I think, use these conspiracies to basically make an excuse for what their own life, for what they're not doing in their own life.
Yeah, exactly.
Themselves, the world to be a much better place, or motivated themselves, or like that, the world to be a better place. Obviously, the world is a fucked up place. The people that got to where they are today didn't do it because they're Mary Poppins. But look, as long as it doesn't affect me or my family or my friends, that's all that I care.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's now that there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and it was awful tragic. You know, I think like 1.3 million people have passed away, and I don't know the actual figures, but I hate to say this, it could have been a lot worse. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could have been a lot worse. So, what I mean, like for the time duration of when we got it, and the way it spread as well. You know what I mean? Like that. It's hopefully, like, if you were. So I read there recently that if you were born in 1900, like if that's the year you were born, like you had 2 fucking world wars. Do you know what I mean? Like you had the fucking in Ireland, like so. And even if even if you lived in Ireland, you still had a recession from from those wars. Like, you know what I mean? It affected the whole of Europe. You had the whole, you know, the Spanish flu as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, and we're lucky with science because they didn't fucking, you know, you look at influenza now, like, and it's what it was a vaccine for like back then. Like, I guess now it might be early days in saying this, you know what I mean? But we're lucky with science at the moment. And I'm not trying to be sanctimonious here, like, you know what I mean? I just as a general feeling that it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think people forget that we live in a very privileged time as well, you know, with science, you know, with science and seatbelts and beer bags and
housing,
trains and planes and automobiles, you know what I mean? And we're very lucky. We're, you know, especially in this country and especially in Western world, you know.
Oh,
and
I
think, you know.
And like, you know, there was say when you look, I always think when you look at Patrick Pearse and Jim Larkin, and these people who've been, which did fight for Ireland, and you know, and have been remembered by these monuments you see around the country, like especially in Dublin, you know. So and then like, so when this COVID-19 started, like people said it was like COVID against humanity, and it's a fight, and we're all in it together, and we're all part of it. So, but what we had to do was sit home, right? Like, you know, like in perspective, like that. But I just want my hometown in Kells, like in 100 years' time, that there's a monument to me and my own drinking cans, not going anywhere, smoking fags, and like, you know, and our children's children will look at me and go, "Oh wow, what he did for Ireland, that man. We wouldn't have the Ireland today if it wasn't for that lad." Drinking shit cider on a Friday afternoon.
They'll be rewriting the foggy Jew for you.
On the flip side of that, Fred, like I think a bit of common sense as well. Obviously, if anyone has looked at any of my videos, I'm more about opening up things and using a bit of common sense.
Yeah.
A lot of things don't make sense as well. A lot of the decisions made in the lockdown, I felt didn't make sense, and it was like not in the Irish people's like agenda, and I just felt strongly about it, and you can see them in some of my videos. But I am common sense does prevail as well. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be going around coughing into someone's face. I mean, or not washing hands after taking a piss. I mean, that's just common sense. We should all be not doing that anyway.
Yeah.
No. So.
Yeah. I think it's a weird one at the moment because everyone is thrown in this same boat together, and the outliers are the ones that are really deep into these conspiracies, and they feel that they're the patriots in all of this, where everyone else thinks they're just a bunch of gobshites.
Yeah, that's true too. They feel like they're doing the right thing by sharing.
That's what I thought.
Siri agrees.
Siri
agrees. Okay, that's Steve Jobs from Beyond the Grave agreeing with us.
That was confusing. No, that was confusing. No, it's true. The conspiracy theory dudes think they're doing the right thing. Do you know what I mean? By misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation.
It'd be great if Bill Gates, like, you know, those lads, like, they get a microchip. Because like a laptop, you know, like at nighttime, you'd be finally able to turn yourself off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can just sleep for the night, no problem. You know what I mean? Like, just fucking.
I know the conspiracy theories one is a mad thing because I don't think that a global conspiracy is very much feasible anymore, even because people can't keep a fucking secret in a small town like Swinford. Never mind on a global scale, you know, like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, sure. If you piss off Swinford, you get €300 fine.
That's just from lads around town. It's not from the guards at all.
You can't get away with nothing these days.
Yeah. Why are you trying to tell us something?
We'll move on, lads. We'll move on. That took a funny turn. It went from COVID conspiracies to pissing on the street.
I tell you what, Fred. You mentioned there George Floyd or whatever. What was his name?
George Floyd.
Floyd George.
Did I say George Floyd? Did I? Sorry, George Floyd.
George Floyd.
George Floyd. You're right about one thing. You felt if you were doing something funny that week, like you were being cheeky. You know,
there was no space for it. Like, it was just one of those weeks, isn't it? Like that. It
was just a dark humor around, or dark just entity around the place, around the world, and you felt like you should actually not be doing anything for that week. and definitely not trying to crack a joke.
Yeah.
There is a weird thing about victim blaming as well, you know, where there is almost a divide of people that were like, well, he's a criminal, like, you know, but that doesn't really matter if he's been snuffed out by the cops.
I do think the media had a lot to do with that as well. If that was if that was not blowing up into the media, obviously what happened to him should never have happened. But I do think it was a political football that both sides used, and then the anarchists and Antifa and everything blew up from it, and it was just an excuse just to do a bit of fucking anarchy.
There's always going to be some of those that are out to do a bit of damage, but like
it's a bit like how they handled COVID-19 as well. Like that's George Floyd thing was coming for years, and they just couldn't handle it once it happened. Like, and it's well overdue. It was about time. Like, hopefully there's been some change in America and around the world from it. But
the one thing I suppose. Sorry, Mikey, I'm cutting you off there. You want to say something?
No, I was just going to say something as well about it was crazy how they let fans back into the English football, and at the Millwall game they started booing them taking the knee. Like, I knew something was going to happen with football fans coming back in. That, like, I don't know, especially in England, it's ridiculous.
I don't think
lately, was it?
Yeah, last weekend. But I don't think it's as simple as calling the Millwall fans that were booing them racist either, because a lot of them could be just completely misinformed by the internet. You know
what happened with the Millwall fans? I don't watch football that much.
They before each game the players take a knee in support of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh, okay.
Millwall were playing at home, and there was the first weekend where 2,000 fans were allowed in each stadium. So the Millwall fans ended up booing the players when they took the knee.
And it was only home fans allowed in, so it was all Millwall.
So it had to be Millwall. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Crazy.
There's no way they could sugarcoat that. They're not racist.
But like the Millwall players had to come out and say that they're taking a knee against discrimination, you know, and for the fans to get on board with the anti-discrimination, and that it's not a political statement. But, you know, again,
it's just a bit embarrassing if you're a Millwall player. You know what I mean? Because you're kind of like, it wasn't our fans, it was the other away fans. But then you're like, oh, wait a second, there was no away fans in. You know? So, but it's just a bit embarrassing, really.
Is it like then it starts?
But fuck them.
Is it? We always knew the Millwall were wrong.
Fred, what sport are you into? Are you into any sport?
I love playing squash, even though I'm no good at it. Like, I rarely win a game, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I've no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. Like, some kind of, you know, I'll never be able to play competitive. Now that I turned 40 as well, like, I think my days of, you know, like, trying to play competitive is over. Like, so I just can't. I only get into sport when it's like an underdog, like, you know, like, or like Mayo have been fighting, you know what I mean? I can't wait for Sunday week. You know, I love GA when it gets to that level.
Just butter in the soap, Fred.
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice one.
Don't really mean that.
I love, and I'm a big fan of Swinford Soccer Club.
Hey,
Fred, did you ever play any handball down there in Kells? It's a big place for handball.
We've had this chat. Well, I went to school in Cavan, St. Patrick's Cavan. So I used to play with all the top guys, like the world champions, like people you know, like Patsy Finnegan and Ryan McCormick and Alan McCabe, all these guys who played handball. And the Duck, what was his name? Paul Gunner, I think.
Paul Brady. Paul Brady,
yeah, Paul Brady, yeah. I played handball with him and stuff. And our like Boo Brown, I went to primary school with him, Carl Brown, who played handball for Dublin, even though he was from Kells.
He did. He played.
How does that work?
I don't know how he managed to do it. He must be born in Dublin or something like that. Or
yeah, he transferred over. He played doubles with Owen Kennedy.
But how did he manage to do that, Chris? Like, how are you allowed to do it? Like,
he's living in Dublin. He got a transfer.
he's living in Dublin.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same with Declan Darcy and Leitrim. Do you remember? Was it 95? He was playing football for Leitrim, and he practically he won the Connacht on I think 96. And then the next week it was like zig and zag. He was gone. He was gone to Dublin. Like, do you remember that? Like, it was just that thing of any success, someone takes you.
Shawnee Johnson transferred from Cavan to Kildare and back to Cavan again, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sure, a few of them. We've had players, Martin Carney and Paul Brogan. They went from Donegal to Mayo.
Was it night?
Could you imagine coming back to who said that? From Cavan to Mayo and then Mayo back to Cavan?
Yeah,
Kildare.
Shawnee Johnson went to from Cavan to Kildare and then back to Cavan again before he finished up.
Yeah, so to be transferred to Mayo, you're not.
Could you imagine his attitude when he got back to Cavan? Lads, you don't know where I've been. Look at you there with your cappuccino. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Walking around in leather chaps the whole time. Because that's the way it is in Kildare.
That's coming in on a horse straight from the Kildare stable. Right, lads, what time is tug out?
Yeah.
I loved Cavan winning the Ulster because the captain was afterwards and he got so emotional. But when he was talking, I was just laughing because he was such a pure Cavan accent. And I went to college with a load of Cavan lads, and they were never had that strong of a Cavan accent until I heard this lad, and it was like
I love the Cavan accent. I love it. What do you think of that from a new bar?
It kind of sounds. I always think it sounds like the Cavan accent sounds a bit like the Louth accent, like it's deadpan. Your tongue's a bit paralyzed. How are you? Come on now, like that, you know. Only it's a bit more agricultural. There's a town in Dundalk. How are you now? You know, no way, like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Cavan is kind of it bounces a bit more like that. It's a bit slower and deadpan, like that. You know, hitting into Leitrim, border and accents like that. You know,
it's a funny accent, all right. It's a funny accent. I wouldn't say I like it, but then again, do people like our accent?
Cancelled.
We're going to be taking the knee in Cavan now, P, because of you.
They'll be like,
it was. I remember seeing the interview as well with the captain of the Cavan team, and it was refreshing because he was so excited, and he wasn't obviously media coached into saying, "Oh yeah, it was a great game. No, we all did well." He was just so excited, you know. He was kind of himself, you know.
And it was a great game too.
Yeah,
I mean, it was the only one in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, and they came back. They were down at half time, like
all the game. They were chasing the game.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I'd love to do a comedy sketch where you interview a footballer after he's made love, and he's like, "Yeah, it was a team event."
Yeah, exactly.
The boys did well. You know, we're training all year for it.
I didn't know if I could get in there, but we got it.
You picked up man of the match.
Boys were shouting at the sideline.
I got them there at the end. I put the walk in and I got them there at the end, and you can see the result all over my face.
Love it.
Thank God for the water break.
How's it been being back working on the Tommy Tiernan show?
Great fun. It's like I got a letter of permission to go there because I'm in Kerry. So I only got stopped once by the guards at checkpoint. I was dying to show me letter. Like, look at that.
Signed by
guard, look at that. And I did a bit of work for. I was great. I just love being back doing that show. Like, it's great crack. You know, it's there's a great vibe and a good laugh to the thing. You know, it's I have a few new things to do. You know what I mean? Like, we've no audience, so it's strange.
I was just going to ask that, Chad. No audience. How does that work?
Fred,
it's just
sorry. Fred goes from chair to chair clapping.
We were going to do that. We were going to do that at the rehearsal. I introduced Tommy, and then he walks out, and all you can hear is me going, just me and my own gun, give us a tea. It was an end. And but then Tommy was saying, we did it. But then I just says no beforehand because Tommy didn't want to address COVID-19. He didn't want to make fun of it because it's kind of exhausted itself, even in conversation like that. He says, let's just get on with the chats. Yeah. So I said, let's not do that because that's basically making fun of having no audience in the first place because of COVID-19. Tommy says that, like, if you look at Ross and Arun, they never, on TG Carr, they never address COVID-19 at all. Like, it's like it doesn't exist in Clifton, in the west of Ireland. Yeah. And he says he kind of wants to work like that,
They haven't made up a word for it yet in the Irish language, you say?
No. COVID that.
Yeah, Tommy's a good bloke.
Yeah, it's great.
Good crack.
Good laugh. Yeah, no, that definitely.
But he seemed a real a gentleman on top of being a funny fella.
So you guys had him on one of the Hardy Buck shows by the graveyard.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
that's right, Jack.
Yeah,
we ruined him. I think he was. He was like, how long is this one scene going to take? Fucking 6 hours, I think.
He was there for 2 days.
He's serious.
Oh, he was very nice, and I'm looking forward to his podcast. He's doing one on his own.
I've seen that called Language.
On his own.
Yeah.
One with Hector.
It's awful funny.
That as well. That's a very good listen as well.
Yeah. I when we met him when he was doing the Hardy Bucks graveyard scene, like when he was off camera, I felt like he was always thinking. Like,
yeah, good point.
Like,
yeah,
his eyes are rolling, not literally rolling in his head.
Go around.
But I felt like he was, so the cog was always spinning fast in his head.
Yeah, he keeps himself occupied internally, doesn't he? Like.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
And I mean, everyone. So there was someone talking to him all the time, but you could tell that he was having that conversation, but he was also had about 10 different things on at the same time as well.
I remember saying that to him once. The first time I gave with him at the Vodafone Festival in Dublin, and I was quite nervous. Like I was emceeing the gig and I was just getting my stuff together, and he just walked in, and he sat down, and he was so relaxed. And I said to him, I'd love to have your calmness. I'd love to be as calm as you are, especially in this environment. And then he just goes to me, he goes, you don't know the chaos that's going on behind this. So he says like so. Which is strange because the first time mom and dad came to the gig, because it was a big gig, like I'm gigging with Tommy Tiernan at the Vodafone Festival, but mom got her teeth done up. She got new teeth and she never told me that she did, right? So, and I walked on stage, right? And I seen mom in the front, and it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, she'd lipstick on, which she'd never had my whole life. Your mother looking at you with lipstick. And which is sad in a way, because she never had lipstick before, because she never wanted to bring attention to her mouth because of her teeth, like. Okay. And then I introduced her. She came backstage, and I introduced mom to Tommy Tiernan, and I go, hi, mom, this is Tommy. And all of a sudden, she goes, hello, Tommy. Hello! Hello! And I'm like, what the fuck? What does that mean? Like, hello! It's clearly obvious she was proud of her new teeth. Oh, very funny. Ridiculous.
Very good.
Does she still have him?
Sorry?
Does she still have him?
No.
Well, Tommy sits, so like, why would she?
I've been to a few fights with a few Dublin heads in the meantime.
Today.
Yeah. Would you prefer, Fred, MCing or your own stand-up?
It depends on the night and the gig. I guess, like if it's a festival gig and a gig has to start at a certain time and end at a certain time, I'm happy to MC. And like I don't really mind after that. I think like when I was starting off in comedy, and in Ireland in comedy, I feel that if you can talk to someone, you don't even have to be funny, but if you can even find anything out of someone, or make them make a room feel at ease with themselves, and then bring on an act, well then you become an MC, and it's a dangerous thing to fall into in Ireland, because I know a few acts who are really good at MCing, like they'll always find the funny, and they'll always make the room feel good about themselves, and they'll give the rules about comedy and bring on the act. But they never become their own act. They never get to do their own thing because they're always facilitating for everyone else. Because to be a really good MC, I think you have to put your ego aside and make sure that the room is, if it's too loud and too intensely, you literally have to bring it down. Like Barry Murphy can do that. He can go into a stag, a room full of stags, and get them into the right mood. You know what I mean? Like to bring on the first act. So there's the tension there and they're in place. So, but now that I've been at it, like I've been at comedy now maybe 15 years, been full time maybe 11 years, 12, and so at this stage, you know, I'm kind of happy just to go on and do my own gig and come off. Do you know what I mean? If I have to, like,
yeah.
So because at least
Tommy,
you can prepare for that.
I called you Tommy there for a second. Sorry. How did you get in? How did you get into it? How did you get into the comedy in the first place?
College. I went to college and I was asked to do a few comedy debates, like simple motions like Dublin city versus the country, you know, stuff like that, like Trinity versus UCD, you know, so be stupid jokes. Some jokes you couldn't even say today because it's so wrong, you know what I mean? Like, you know, this is back in 2002, 2003. And but I just love the attention of it. And then I seen David O'Doherty coming out to college and like doing a gig and getting paid for it. And it was genuinely so new to me. And I was like, wow, you can make money out of this, out of laughter. And I realized that if I can make a living out of this, I found a middleman with life. That the fact that I have to turn up and arrive and have my head together, but I can have a laugh and still get paid for it. And I was kind of doing that generally anyway. So this just seemed to be the best way to channel it for my own sanity, like to make a living out of it.
How long were you doing, like, stepping up before you actually got on stage first? Or can you remember your first gig?
What you mean? How long was I?
How long were you preparing your material before you actually got up on stage and done your own live first gig?
I kind of underestimated it at the start. I was really influenced by like a Tommy or Billy Connolly or Ross Noble. So I genuinely thought, you see, the craft of Billy Connolly and Tommy, like, they do make it look random, and like they just thought of it. Do you know what I mean? They've got wonderful stage dynamics, which I fell for. I was literally like, "On, so you don't need jokes. You're either funny or you're not funny." Yeah. So I had a terrible audacity of confidence. And I paid the price for it big time. Hello, the International Bar, and then like a minute later, fuck. No jokes. Shit. You know, like, so, and the problem was in college when I got into comedy, I was in this cozy bubble. There was a wonderful warmth of support and having a laugh. Like no one was paying into it. It was 1 o'clock in the day. It was packed. You know, being silly was being encouraged. But it was when I left college and tried to get paid for comedy, and then I'd be upstairs in a place like the Halfpenny Bar, and there'd be like 10 people in front of me, and 3 of those be old lads with pints of Guinness looking at you. You know, like, it's like, why would they give a shit about a fucking 23-year-old? Do you know what I mean? Or like a 22 at the time. I remember that going, how am I going to make these lads laugh? So that's when the discipline kicked in, and I realized I've been very naive about this business, you know. So I had to learn how to become a solid comedian. I hate to say that because it's the worst compliment to give anyone, you know what I mean? Like, you're solid, but it just means that I work on stage. I know what to do. My jokes work. And when I got good at that, I started gigging in the Laughter Lounge. And then all of a sudden, I had this 15 minutes, which was like bang, bang, bang from the second I came on. And I was going with that for like 2.5 years. And I got really fed up with it. I was like, I had it down to a facial expression. You know what I mean? Like, I was getting laughs. I didn't even know. I was like a record player. I mean, I remember in the middle of the Laughter Lounge going, I don't even know what they're laughing at because I just know these lines so much. I don't even know what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so then I just had to kind of mix it up a bit. Right. So then I started doing my own shows. I booked myself into Whelan's going, look, if I can book myself into Whelan's and do a show and come up with a new 50 minutes, well, then I've achieved something, you know. So I had to take a few risks again, like, so. It's constant. It's never ending. Someone said to me once.
And How long would you put into your material before you're going on? Are you practicing it like at open mics, or are you practicing it in small shows? Are you working on jokes?
I'll do.
How do you construct your joke?
If I think of something funny, I'll put it on my phone, and then I'll do a work in progress. Or if I don't have time to do work in progresses, I'll do a show, and in the middle of the show, I'll put in my new stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I'll know quickly. Sometimes sometimes you've got a good instinct. If you laugh, if you find it funny, or you find the idea funny, well, that's a good sign. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's an internal thing. It's like wanting to make your friends laugh. You know, it's an energy. It's a quiet energy that you feel inside before you execute it. And, you know, you'll find out sometimes. So you have to put stuff in your phone. And it's just constantly gigging. It sounds laborious, but it's great fun. But it's just I always make sure, like when I'm gigging, to have something new when I was gigging. Do you know, like that gig I did in Mayo in Castlebar a few weeks ago, I hadn't gigged in months.
Yes.
And I was quite weak on stage. You know, I was actually tired as well. Like, and like I did everything arseways, but I kind of needed to bite the bullet to get back out there, you know?
Yeah.
So
I've seen you, like, I remember you supported us when we you gave us a hand when we were doing the run for Dublin to.
Oh yeah.
And fuck me, you were brilliant that night.
Yeah.
Even though I knew you were tired because I think you were just after coming off another gig.
Exhausted.
And you were absolutely unreal that night. But do you get a buzz off it? I
love it
after a good gig.
Oh yeah.
You get that buzz.
It's so rewarding, you know, but it's a drug, but it's like, I'd imagine I've never done pills, but I've heard of lads accidentally taking bad pills, you know, and you can feel really all that, and you get a bad buzz. Do you know what I mean? You can feel like that as well after a gig. It's very hard I'd love to find a happy medium, you know what I mean, and just come off stage on the level and relaxed. But like realistically, like you come off stage buzzing, or you're just like kind of whatever. Like it's rarely I have a shit gig at this stage.
Yeah.
But gigs are easier for me now. You know what I mean? Because I can do my own shows and have my own audience. It took years to get that, like years.
Of course.
And tell me this, Tommy. Do you still suffer from nerves?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Fred, why am I calling you Tommy still?
Tommy Bow.
Right.
Tommy Bow.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking back to the time we went to Germany. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
But tell me this: do you still suffer from nerves, Fred?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And how do you cope with that?
Breathing mechanisms. I think, and if something that Tommy actually showed me that if you can go on stage, sometimes I come off stage and I felt I wasn't in the room. I wasn't like I did, like when I talk about having that 15 minutes when we did laughter lounge, and I got so good at it, I wasn't in the room anymore. I wasn't acknowledging the energies in front of me or the waves of laughter, you know. So when you're nervous, it kind of shows that you care, and you become incredibly alert because of it, like this internal survival of the fittest that you don't want to mess up. So but with the nerves, I just have these breathing exercises, and you're just 10 minutes before I go on stage, and it's just so when I walk on stage, no matter how nervous I am, I'm in charge of my own breath. That's all I'm asking for. Is that because I guess you know yourself, like when you're nervous, you'll start to stutter on your sentences in everyday situations, or you'll rush to the end of the sentence because you don't want to say it in the first place. You know what I mean? You're happier to be out of the room. But if you can just walk on stage and you see with Tommy, like Tommy walks on stage like we are now. You know what I mean? Like, and there could be 6,000 people in front of him, and he'll take a beat and he'll relax. Do you know what I mean? You can see in his early DVDs, especially his first one, he's very relaxed in it. Do you know what I mean? And this is like a DVD that Universal was behind. Like there's a lot of pressure on it, and he's just telling stories at his own pace. And to find that is to be in charge of your own breath. So you take your time getting through the sentences, and you're in control of it. You're not letting the audience rush you. You're just in control of your own pace. And to find that breathing exercises for me is the only way to do it. Like,
I think that's good
Yeah,
advice for
Fred,
everything.
I was,
like,
sorry, I was just going to say about them early times in the Halfpenny Bridge and stuff, because myself and Owen, Owen set up a Sunday night kind of with a few comedians in the Halfpenny Bridge, and he asked me to come up, and I found them very useful because like you were just going on doing like 5-10 minutes,
Yeah.
and it was around 2013, 14, something like that, and it was great. It was maybe every 2 weeks or so, and I went up to Dublin and did them with him, and he had different comedians every time. But
Did you go up yourself, Chris?
Did I go up on stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, savage. How'd you find it?
I think it was around the time that the lads were doing gigs they were preparing for Vicar Street.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was in the middle of it, and like if I hadn't gone up on stage at all, I did 2 nights in the Wiley Fox, just an open mic, and it's difficult, like it's
yeah.
I think I was pretty confident going up that I had a few funny bits that I could talk about. And then I just said, fuck it, we'll give it a go, But I couldn't give any advice to the lads when they were going up on stage in Vicar Street, or give any direction to them in how to learn lines or do stuff if I hadn't gone up on stage at all myself, But yeah, look, I gave it a go. I wouldn't say that I think that I'd probably be able to have another go at it again if I spent more time preparing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When myself, Mikey and Pete are doing, for some reason, I get awful calm before. I don't get nervous. I think 1 or 2 of them.
I'd love to have that.
Yeah,
I'd love to have that, Stephen. That's a gift.
Too nervous, but any time that we did, myself, Mikey, and Pete would go. Look, anyone that's out there are here first of all to laugh. They're on your side straight away. So unless you completely fuck up, they're on your side already. And secondly, everyone in that room would love to be on stage, would love to be doing what you're doing, to have the confidence to go up and be on that stage. And then you think to yourself, as Pete would use the analogy that we used on the way down the run about a cookie jar. I mean, all the good cookies that you've made over the years, like getting on the likes of the Hardy Box, getting in front of an audience at Vicar Street, doing the runs, me surviving aneurysm, heart attack, whatever.
You just threw that in there. You just threw that in.
I did. Yeah, I mentioned that every time.
Feeling the thunder, just surviving death.
3 times.
Running across Ireland.
But yeah, so to use, like, when things are tough, you have to remember all the good things. And
exactly.
People say, eat one of the cookie jars, like mentally eat one of the cookie jars.
Yeah.
And just get up on stage and do your thing.
Oh, it is. And that's the thing with comedy. Comedy, it's fun, and it should be fun. And I think a lot of acts, especially the new acts, not a lot of them, but a good few of them, they talk so much shop, and they talk about how did you get this and how did you get that, and they're giving out about other acts, and they're occupying their heads with negative. They can't stand other people getting opportunities, so they're kind of denying to others what they're asking for themselves. And it is toxic. You know what I mean? And I'm like, fuck, lads, this is a laugh. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting to travel and we're making money for it. It's quite a privilege. That it's sometimes I do struggle with it. You know what I mean? On a fundamental level, I have to always remind myself that I'm getting paid to work in the entertainment industry and have a laugh. And I'm very lucky that the genre exists. The funny thing, I'm very lucky for the like of Eddie Murphy in the 80s. Like that he kind of made stand-up really cool throughout the world. Or, stuff like that. Or, it's or Lenny Bruce for making stand-up alternative. Someone would have done it along the way, but he did it. You know what I mean? I have to before that a lot of one-liners. So it's a real privilege that, or even Tommy. When you look Tommy Tiernan before Tommy in Ireland, and nothing. I love Brendan Grace. I love No Veganity. I love all the one-liners. You know what I mean?
There wasn't
loads of people like Tommy, but it was him that put it out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this alternative style. Like.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to the Halfpenny Bridge. There was one gig we did with Edwin Salmon, who's a brilliant stand-up.
Yeah, yeah.
And like what gave me confidence, because this was the first time I was on stage, like as a stand-up and stuff. And anytime I came off, Owen was telling me that all the comics were saying how they loved my style on stage,
Yeah.
how relaxed I seemed.
I love it. I love it as well. I've always
like nervous.
Yeah.
But hopefully I didn't show it, or I just couldn't do anything other than what I was doing on stage. So in my mind, I was like just natural and
Yeah.
happy, like so.
But you were like that from the get-go.
Yeah.
When you class.
It's just sadly that jokes and stories are running out now, so I need to have another life experience
But
again.
Some comedians tell the same 15 minutes for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's club comedians in New York who've a market of a new audience every night in the same venue, and they've got a killer 20 minutes of one-liners. That, you know, if it brings joy and are getting paid, you know, like why not? Like, you know, but it's I remember I was gigging with you know, Iman won't mind me saying this. Do you know Iman, a comedian in Dublin? This is the name. I can't remember his second name, but I was gigging with him in Belfast, and he had to do 15 minutes before me. Right, 15 minutes, and he was getting all annoyed. He goes to me, "This is lovely because it's really new." He goes, "Fred, I've only got 12 minutes. I've only got 12 minutes." I was like, I don't have the 15. He's getting all annoyed about it. Like, this is like 2 hours before the gig. And I was just saying to him, look, they don't mind. Just do a really good 12 and come off. They won't give a shit. They won't give a shit. Like, they wouldn't even be looking at their clock. And he's like, oh, no. Like, I have to do the 15. They'll be on to it. I won't get back if I don't do the 15. Because he really cared what people thought about him. You know what I mean? Like, which is another thing when you're starting off in the comedy industry, you're vulnerable to other people's opinions of you.
Yeah.
Which you have to be to a certain extent. And he went on stage and he killed it for 12 minutes. Like, killed it in front of 300 people. Like, and Belfast is a hard audience sometimes, you know what I mean? It's another energy. They're at you, you know what I mean? Like he's right in, and he made them laugh. And then for the last 3 minutes, he just stood there on the stage going, "I've no more jokes. I've no more jokes. Nothing left. I've nothing left." It was so funny, you know what I mean? Like
that in itself is hilarious.
Yeah. I'm taking that seriously.
He should have came out at the start and said, "I'm going to have a fantastic 12 minutes. I don't know what I'm going to do for the last 3.
Yeah.
That would have been 30 seconds.
But look.
You said something really interesting there, that, you know, when you first started and you're in college and you were doing like just debating stuff and comedy debates and stuff like that they're jokes that you can't use anymore.
Yeah.
Like, comedy has changed, and the way people are approaching comedy. If anything, if you say something that's taboo now, it's got to be strong, because the internet will kill it.
Yeah.
You have to be strong behind it, and you have to probably expect a backlash.
How have you seen that develop, especially in the last year or two, or 3 maybe? You know, there's been a
Yeah.
How have you?
Well, I've always been slightly innocuous as a comedian. You know what I mean? I've never really offended anyone, like, on stage. Generally, like, you know, it's never really been a problem for me. Like, I remember saying a joke once, and one night, and I phrased it wrong, and it was awful, like, you know. And it was this is early in the early years, but after that, like, I think, do you know? I mean, if people are paying in to see a comedian live, like whatever about the open spots upstairs, like in, you know, if people are paying in good money to see a professional comedian, I think you need to bring it somewhere else. That's beyond the funny WhatsApps that you seen in your phone that day. Do you know what I mean? Like, or something that's been shared and stuff. It just needs to go. And for that, I guess it can help if you're original, but you need to keep gigging to find your originality, to find where you're. I'm not saying, I'm just generally, you know what I mean, for comedians to keep at it, to keep going, like. But as far as it's just not. Maybe it's just not funny anymore. Anyway, do you know what I mean? It's just the time has passed.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that's the way it is. Like, and it's there's no space for. But it depends because there's so many different styles of comedy and channels of comedy that it's hard to know. You know what type really. Like.
A couple of instruments in your set.
Yeah.
That's a great. I think that's a great. It's a good way of breaking up. It's a good way of maybe prolonging your set as well, and also breaking up.
It is, yeah. I think that Dad said to me once. One of my first gig I headlined. I think you guys might have done it a few years ago. It's the one in Oldcastle. You know, Lecala in Oldcastle. This festival, anyway. It's just out the road from Meath, and but I was headlining it, and Dad went to the gig, and he came up to me after it, and he goes to me, Fred, you're lucky that you play guitar, because at least if you're not funny, they'll always clap at the end of the song.
But Fred, I was just wondering there, how's it been going during lockdown? How have you been finding like comedy and writing and not being able to perform? Like, so how do you can kind of get that energy and stuff?
Yeah, I started doing, and I started doing videos online, you know, like just to channel some creativity that way, like online. I try to get one up once a week, you know, and so because of lockdown now, that's it. I probably have created a bit more of a social media presence about myself, you know, because Colgan was always on me about to do it, and it was like I never really pushed myself until now, like until the last 9 months, and even at that, you know what I mean, I'm still not doing too much of it. I did a few when phase 3 came in and you were allowed 15 people in the room. I did 2 nights in Kells, or work in progress shows, and that was all new stuff. It was such a risk, but it was great because I didn't have to be funny. It was a real people. Like I walked on, like, and told the audience, "Look, guys, I haven't gigged in 4 months. This could be shit," and it's all new stuff. It's ideas. So it's, but you know, I was fine, and I love gigging, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I had to fill this vacuous hole in my life because I wasn't gigging. No, you know, I kind of had I was fine to not gig either. Like, if I never had to gig again, I'd be devastated.
It's kind of like a muscle you have to flex. You'd be afraid that you kind of have to be practicing it, you know.
Yeah.
That's why the videos are good. The videos kind of keep your creative juices going.
It'll be interesting to see now when the gigs do start again that even the most, you know, even the greatest comedians in the world, like they haven't had any stage time in months. Like they'll be like really shit teachers. They'll be like, quiet, please, quiet. Do you know what I mean? Like the audience will see their weak spot straight away, and they haven't got the mind muscle to retaliate because they've just been drinking cider for 9 months.
Like if you see some of the comedians in America, the likes of Bill Burr, or I think what's his name, Bert Kreischer, he's been doing to like drive-in comedy shows. So people in and then listening through, like, which
I don't know if that would work. It wouldn't work for me anyway.
Imagine sitting in the field looking out at a bunch of cars.
And seemingly, I have a few friends who did it in the UK, and they said that instead of laughter, they just beep.
Yeah. Brilliant.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, they may have been beeping sarcastically.
Could have been heckling beeps.
What's the beep for? Shy. Yeah. But even like I did a few online gigs, and I'm doing a few this week and one next week, and it's that's taken me a while. Now that is full steam ahead. You know, I talk about breathing exercises and trying to be in the room, but it's impossible to have any palpable energy when you're. It's literally like I did a gig last week for a college, and it felt like I was trying to make my laptop laugh.
Laugh, you fucker!
Like it's just demented. Hey, laptop, is it just me, right? Or
What channel is that on, Fred?
what? Sorry.
What platform are them live gigs on?
Oh, they're on Zoom or webinars. Zoom or webinars. So,
Is it through your page or what?
sorry.
Do you put them on your page, or are they through your page, or what page are
To
they on?
their page. The colleges have their own website and they create their own link. It's
Okay.
just like this. It's just like this. Only whoever's in charge of it can mute or. Now, there's this lady, I couldn't see anyone, so I asked people to come online and show yourself so I can work with something. And there was this lady on her own, and she had you could see there's a lap dancing pole in the background, and there was a few like little bits of hash distributed on the table, and she's from Roscommon, and her boyfriend came out the background, and she wouldn't shut up. She wouldn't shut up. And the guy in charge of it just muted her. And I was like, no, that is class. That is, it's like, it's brought authority to a whole new level. Okay, no more jokes from you, my friend. Beep.
I'm
Yeah.
good here. Brilliant. I think
You guys be going back gigging.
what's that?
You must have a tour ready, or have you, for when all this is over?
Not really. We were sort of we were letting other people be the guinea pigs first, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. Like I can't wait. Me personally, I can't wait to get back gigging again. We had the run to distract us there that we done around Mayo for that distracted us for a couple of months, and we're probably planning another one for next year. But in between that, I cannot wait to get on stage again. I just want when I do get back on stage, I want it to be as normal as it used to be. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I think we feed off the crowd if there's a crowd there, like the energy of the crowd. Even when Pete comes on, he comes through the crowd, the whole works, he interacts with the crowd. And for anyone that's been to one of our shows, we sort of rely on crowd interaction. So if we weren't able to do that, I don't know what we'd do. I'm sure we could do something that would work around that, but I love the whole energy that the crowd brings as well. So that's the buzz of it for me anyway.
Would you recommend Kells? Should we book somewhere there?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Has to go to Kells.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But the only thing is, promote it through like the Meath Chronicle, the Meath paper, and stuff like that, and bring, because it's hard. It's not that people in Kells don't go to gigs, but nothing's promoted in the town, so no one knows. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the same politics, with most towns in Ireland. So it just needs to be known, like so.
Yeah, there's a lot of gigs that go by they kind of go under the radar with local people that just don't know about it until late.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, you just genuinely don't know. Like,
we learned a lot about promoting over the last, say, 18 months. We learned what to do, and we learned what not to do.
Yeah,
which is just as important as
and what not to do.
Just like don't rely on other people. I tell you, that's to promote.
But the venue, don't rely on them to promote.
That's it. Yeah.
Don't rely on the venue to promote it. Just you have to be on the ball yourself. You're dead right, Mikey. Relying on a venue to promote it is a waste of time unless they're taking some of the door, and that's the only reason. No offense.
Yeah, for no reason. Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Well, if they're paying you a flat fee before, if you're waiting, if you're going to take a door fee, then you have to think of it as you're out on your own, like.
Yeah, exactly. And we learned a lot of them things. Some of the gigs we sold out. Some of them they actually had to go to other venues to get chairs. Others we ended up, there was such a little crowd, we ended up just drinking with the few that came instead of doing and that's just the way it was. It was 1 week you thought you'd cracked it, the next week you were down the gutter drinking with the crowd that were actually meant to come.
It kept us on our toes, though. It kept us on our toes. There was no ego, because 1 week you were like class, feeling good, and then the next week you were like,
Do you feel a big difference with the smaller audiences? You have to bring it up a gear on stage, isn't it? Because you're not surfing on an energy, like. You literally have to fucking almost create the energy there, like.
One
Small audience.
of the best jokes I heard you saying, and it was obviously just thought of on the minute. I remember there was a small gig you done, and you said, and a few people turned up for probably, like, it was Castlebar a while back, and it was Castlebar is notoriously bad for getting the crowd in anyway. And you came out and you said about, I hope Al Qaeda don't take out the GF.
Can I say this joke? No, can I say the joke, Stephen? Can I?
Yeah, of course you can.
Can I say the joke? I was that, God forbid, like, because I did this gig, right? And I was saying, God forbid there was a terrorist attack in this gig. Like, I'd be mortified because the next day, like, it'd be in the Mayo papers, it'd be in the Independent the next day. And it'd be like, terrorist attack at Fred Cooke's. This be the headline the next day. A terrorist attack at my gig in Castlebar. It'd be like terrorist attack at terrorist attack at Fred Cooke's gig in Castlebar. All 6 were killed. You'd be more mortified about that than actually dying. Oh God, fuck.
I have a bit of an add-on there, Fred. I think Steve stole that a little bit in some of our gigs.
Fred, I think we all stole that a bit in our gigs.
I'm chuffed. But then I was thinking, if it did happen, right? God forbid it did happen, and like maybe like 50 people were killed, people would be very sad. Then the conversation the next week be like, God, thank God, like Tommy Tiernan wasn't gigging. It would have been one of the greatest terrorist attacks in history. Like, complete wipeout, 1,000 people. Like, so you can have that one as well.
What plans have you for next year if things going well?
Well, I've got dates. Like I've had to cancel dates twice, but now I've like half of them are opened up again. So I'll do a tour in the new year, definitely. And I'll get to film this Tommy Tiernan show, and I'll hopefully do a few festivals, and bring up a 1-year-old.
Yes.
How many minutes does he have?
Well, I was actually thinking, because he was overdue, I was like, I said, I hope he doesn't become a stand-up comedian, because he's already developed a reputation of not turning up on time.
Going over his time.
Exactly, yeah.
He's a solid 12 minutes, but then he laps the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. He can't even do toilet humor yet.
How are you finding Fatherhood, Fred?
That's lovely.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's like today we went to Tralee, and it was his first time, as I said, you know what I mean? Like we got him a stroller. We've got a bigger kind of pram here, but we said we just need something a bit lighter and quicker. And we got him that today. It's just to see him, like, he's just like, whoa, like, it's all these firsts. Like, even 3 days ago, it was snowing for the first time, and I was like, you know, I was outside going, look at this, Ted, you know, and I guess it gives me an appreciation for the fundamental appreciation of life, you know what I mean? Like, the little things, like, it's great.
How's Julie these days?
Oh, she hates it. Doesn't suit her at all. Some people are just not made to be a mum. So, oh no, messing. No, she's great. She's fine.
Does she plan on doing live shows eventually again, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she definitely will. So we're actually doing a show together in Glore Art Centre in Ennis in March, I think, and we're calling it Getting Out.
No.
So like, we gigged together. The last tour I did, Fred Liner actually supported me there, which is lovely. You know what I mean? Like, this, because it's like, you know, people always say stand-up is lonely, and it's not that lonely. You know what I mean? I think loneliness is more internal. You know, you can be surrounded by everyone and still sadden yourself, or vice versa.
Yeah,
so, but hiya, Pet. Come in and say hi. Come in and say hi. I was only joking about you being here.
I was just walking past. I was just walking past, and I was listening to Dr. Phil over here talking about how happiness is eternal. And I was like, pass me the bucket. I mean, come on. You're very good. How are you guys? Good?
Good, yeah, very good.
I'll leave you back at it. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Bye. Take care, Julie.
Bye.
Happiness is internal. I'll remember that.
I'll say it was nice being on the road with you the last tour, and I wanted to know, are you gigging? Chris asked me, are you going to go back on the road?
No, I was only gigging really to meet a man. So now that I have him, I've got the baby now. It's fine. No more gigs for me.
It's a Tinder date, and it's like 3 years later. So, well, I can't wait to see it. We'll have to do a gig, a compilation gig. We should do a gig at the islands.
What's that?
We should do a gig at the islands, the whole lot of us. Inishbofin, Clare Island, the Aran Islands.
That'd be brilliant.
And we'll get a boat. We'll get a boat and we'll go from each one.
Well, I'm not going swimming.
Brilliant.
No, not at all. You spend the whole tour. I'm not swimming. I'm not fucking swimming for anyone.
Fred, that would be unreal.
Sure, we'll wrap it at that.
Yeah, we'll wrap it at that. Fred, thank you so much for jumping on.
Lads, it's been an absolute highlight.
Yeah.
Such a pleasure. And look, I don't know how long I'm going to be in Kerry, but look, we'll meet up again anyway soon. And I don't know when I'll be up in Mayo, but when I do, we'll let you know. We'll go on the session, proper session.
We'll take a spin down.
And where can
do take a spin down.
Anyone that's watching this, Fred, where can people find you? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
Crime Line.
Anyway.
Humble.
Don't let Julie hear you say
Tumblr.
Tumblr. Yeah. So, Fred's, my Instagram is Fredster Cooke. So, or www.fredcookcomedian.com.
Perfect.
Or www.kevinbridges.com. I'm on that one.
Fred, thank you so much. And this podcast will be going up in the next couple of days. And thank you everyone that has watched it and listened to it. It's going to be up on YouTube, on Patreon first, obviously. So anyone that would like to contribute to our Patreon page, that would be very, very, very thoughtful and kind of you. But after that, it's going to be up on YouTube, Spotify, and
iTunes,
Spreaker,
everywhere.
The whole works.
Castbox, yeah.
The whole works. And thank you guys for listening. It was a great old chat between beautiful friends. And
look, lads, pleasure.
Yeah,
I miss you.
Thanks, Fred.
Cheers, Fred.
Cheers, Fred.
I'll see you later, guys.
Good luck.